Spotlight Now, we catch up with Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi.
From issues with HART leadership to the outages in Chinatown, plus his newly approved budget, there's always a lot to talk about. Spotlight Now starts now.
You're watching Spotlight Now with Ryan Kalei-Suji and Yunji Denise on Hawaii News Now. Have questions or comments for our guests? Join the conversation in our Facebook live stream. Spotlight Now, where Hawaii comes to talk.
Hello and thanks for tuning in here on this Tuesday for Spotlight Now. One of the things that we like to do in our conversations with our guests, of course, is to engage you, the viewing audience. We want to encourage those of you who are watching online on Facebook, please submit your questions for our guests, or you can scan this QR code that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. And if you have any part during this conversation, you have a question for the mayor, we encourage you to please participate with us.
We want to welcome to the studio now Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here.
Great to be here. Always great to be with you, and always a challenge.
Hey, we've got a full hour, and
I know.
I think we have more than an hour worth of questions today.
I'm not surprised.
I want to dive right into
Okay.
it and start off with HART and your sort of assessment with what's happening with the leadership there. The meeting last Friday got canceled. We were hoping we would have some developments to talk about, but in the absence of that, what's your assessment about what's happening between the board and Lori Kahikina?
You know, normally I would not talk about a personnel matter, but this has become public record, and I've now gone on public, both not only with the media but the HART board, with respect to my strong recommendation for Lori to receive a multi-year contract. You know, I've been working with her now for the last 3.5 years, and I know what it was like in the beginning. I know how we slugged it out, getting to where we were. I went to Washington with her, a presentation to the FTA. You know, we got some things done beyond the fact that we're coming up on a 1-year anniversary of the operation of rail, but, you know, we were able to overcome common myth, if you will, about the FFGA not being able to be amended and truncating the route and not having to do an EIS and so on and so forth, coming in on, you know, re-racking the budget, all of our plans, took away all the concern that was there. You know, when we came in, I mean, the prior administration appointed Lori. I had nothing to do with Lori's hiring. I met her. I was aware of her reputation. But we started out really in a deep hole because the month before we took office, the prior administration pulled the P3 and did the changeover in the CEO, so that in and of itself. But if you recall, they announced a budget deficit of some $3.67 billion. I can still remember that, and that was hanging over everybody's head. And then added extension in time delay to 2033 to Ala Moana. And that was sort of the conventional thinking. So knowing that and knowing that the public was really, even though we're in the middle of the pandemic, having gone through endless Zoom calls and listening to countless people for many months complain about the rail and their fear of it, really, from the standpoint of cost runaway, et cetera, I thought we've overcome a lot, and Lori's been there. She was there, and quite honestly, I think even in this phase of construction, it really needs an engineer, not an administrator. So I've been very vocal, and we had been that way behind closed doors, asking for her extension prior. But this was a time now to step forward. I mean, I'm online. I have a lot of people ask me about my authority in this. And I'll just tell you that there's an overriding authority. I mean, HART Board has been set up to be this autonomous organization, but I'm on the hook with the FTA, and we got the FTA to come back to the table, not only to approve our plans, but to be a construction partner once again for some $744 million. I've had ongoing conversations with the FTA as recently as early this week. So I've been very much involved with that, so I hope that my voice is heard, and I expect it to be heard, quite honestly, at this week's board.